What's up, boys? It's a Nostalgic Gaming channel back at it again with some nostalgic gaming content in the form of Age of Mythology. Today we're playing mission number 20, Where They Belong. It's the final mission of the three-part finding the Osiris pieces. So let's get straight into it.
So, you failed me again, Kemsit.
There was nothing I could do, General. Kamos is dead.
And you're about to join him. Can you at least deliver me the army you promised? The passage to the underworld will soon be open, and you know what manner of creatures lurk within.
They are traveling along the coast now. They will be here soon.
I'm going to ride out and motivate them to travel faster.
What should I do?
Keep the men digging. If they reach the underworld, pray to Poseidon that you can hold off whatever comes out until I return.
Gargarensis is not happy, you could tell.
The scouts have sighted Amonra and Chiron. They have the pieces of Osiris with them.
What of Arkantos?
No word, sir.
It is getting late. We must start and hope that Arkantos arrives in time. Send the signal. That's the signal.
That's what we were waiting for. We must bring the pieces of Osiris together near the pyramid. Only then can he be reborn.
So that signal reminded me of like Lord of the Rings, right? Where they have to light the fires. That way they can know like, hey, it's time to fight, right? So this mission, right, is the culmination of the three separate part missions that we did, getting the pieces of Osiris. Where initially you start off with two different bases, right? And this is not an unfamiliar concept with, Age of Mythology. We've already done this a couple times, You start off with two different bases separated by a small physical barrier. In this case, there's a line of trees and there's a little lake that prevents us from reaching our other side, right? And you have to defend both sides while mounting a force large enough to attack the enemy, which is generally separated by walls, right? So you have to build a force large enough to siege two sides, that way you can combine your forces and reach the end, right? But on this one, there's also a unique portion of it where once you get close enough, you trigger a third base, right? Or a third army, where you get Arkantos and his men coming in. Now, I don't know if it's a distance trigger. I don't know if it's a time trigger. But I know that as I progressed through the mission and as I started sieging towards the main base, I was able to trigger the Arkantos, trigger. That's a lot of times I've said trigger. But as we're going through, so on this one, it's not super unbalanced with the resources, right? You kind of have resources on both sides. So this is not one of those like, hey, I only have 1 and 1. You get a little bit of gold on each side, a little bit of trees. So you're not wanting for resources on either side. The problem is you don't really have like a massive starting army, right? You are given some catapults, which is, for a beginning portion of the mission, that's pretty sweet, right? Because that immediately lends you to some sieging, right? You can hit people outside of your range, and make sure that you're taking down some of the enemy walls, because it's going to be littered with walls, right? Whenever you have one of these missions, it's like they build walls everywhere. They build a maze of walls to keep you out. And unfortunately, in some games, like specifically what I'm thinking is Warcraft. Like in Warcraft, when you have a catapult or you have a siege weapon, you're able to attack the ground, right? And that allows you to destroy trees. That way you can build your own path and build your own way, right? Unfortunately, Age of Mythology does not have that. Which, I mean, it would make some missions way easy, right? It would basically negate all the separated missions. Kind of like how the underworld did. But, I mean, that would be a nice little feature because I want to look behind these trees. I feel like there's probably some kind of benefit back there. And if you try and individually target them with your villagers, it doesn't work out super well. Like, they just keep chopping the one, and then realistically the tree falls and they can't get past it, right? See, I want to get, like, back there, right? But there's a little line of trees there that I can't get past. Like, I have the subconscious urge to explore every portion of the map, whether it's beneficial or not. Like in my heart of hearts, I say like, oh, I should probably explore there just to make sure there's no secret laser bear or no secret, relic more realistic, or like maybe something that the developers put in as a little Easter egg. So we get our first attack here, right? A couple spearmen, nothing that we can't handle, but unfortunately, right? That is going to dwindle our forces a little bit, especially with this Jarl. We got to get him out of there because I do not want to lose my Norse ones. Once you lose the Norse ones, they're not coming back. And granted, the Norse, like the Jarls and the Norse soldiers that you get in this portion of it, are not super fantastic, right? They're just basic units. They can't build. They're just basic cavalry units. And I'm not a major fan of cavalry units. I know that, some of them are faster and whatnot. But I'm not the biggest fan. I like the boots on the ground infantry. Like when I play StarCraft, I'm a Marines guy, right? Marines and tanks. Marines and tanks. I guess tanks are more like artillery, right? You probably akin them more to siege weapons and artillery rather than like a cavalry unit. Especially because you get like a vulture, which is more cavalry or whatnot. But it's always nice to call in that big old siege tank and drop the hammer on the enemies from range. Oh man, and it looks like in this first, so I lied, right? The resources are a little scarce on this left side for gold. At least from what I see so far. I don't see any other gold. And I've run out of gold on this side, so. But it's okay, there's gold on the other side. But this gives me the opportunity to go and start chopping down those trees. Oh my god, there's a hyena. Like, why would that hyena be so interested in attacking my villagers, Like, what did my villagers ever do to you, bruh? And now they all, like, good villagers, like, they don't want to waste food. They start harvesting it, and it's like, oh no, we don't need that hyena meat. I have plenty of farms. I mean, it'd be a pretty interesting mechanic, right? I mean, like, it makes sense gameplay-wise why when you have two separate bases, you share resources because that's how the game is played and that's how it always is. But it'd be pretty cool if, like, in this specific mission or those two, like, the separated missions, if one base had one set of resources and the other base had another. Like, that would add a different layer of difficulty to it. That would make it like, okay, now this mission's actually difficult because, like, I don't have to worry so much about my resources in this, right? Because I got plenty on both sides and they share, so it's not that big a deal. Wow, how funny is it that their trigger is trying to hit the other town center, right? That's the closest one by proximity, even though they would have to walk through all the walls and they would have to like go around, and at the end it would be really far for them. But I mean, if someone is a modder and they're watching this and they want to make a mission like that where like, hey, you're able to split up differentiate the resources between the two, like, I would totally play that. That would make it a lot more fun. That would make it a lot more realistic and difficult. So I'd be a big fan. I would totally play that. I know there's I've joined a couple discords for Age of Mythology because I'm a big fan of this game, right? This is kind of my bread and butter so far with YouTube, where these are usually my most popular videos other than my shorts coming up. But so it's cool to see, like, in the discords that I see that there's people that actually mod it. There's other people that play like modified campaign missions or more difficult campaign missions. And granted, my skill level is not super high where I could beat all of them. Like, I've seen some people beat 12v1 on Titan mode. That's insane. I can't do that. But to add a little bit more like depth and difficulty without artificially making it more harder by just adding more more enemy resources and more enemy health pool or whatever, like, like when you play Dark Souls and you play NG+, and all of a sudden you're getting smacked because the enemy is much, much healthier and they take less damage, and like, to me that's not really adding much to the game. That's just making it harder for no reason. Like if you had an NG+, and granted, I've never beat an NG+, right? This is what I've heard from people that play Dark Souls. Like, when you have an NG+, and they start adding more mechanics, or more monsters or different unit placement. I know like it makes the game harder to develop, and NG Plus is just, oh hey, let me add this on. It's just harder. I'm just making these people more spongy, right? Uh-oh. Like that's not really the point of, in my opinion, like the NG Plus and that experience, right? But yeah, I mean, if you could do that, that would be nice. Shout out to all the modders of the game. If you guys are interested to see that too, or you have the skills or expertise or know someone that could do it, make sure you add them in the comments. That way they can come and watch this, and that way they can hook us up with that sweet, sweet mod. Unfortunately, I lost my catapult for the left side too, which is kind of sad. Very sad. But I still have one left, right? And it looks like we're getting close to knocking down all those trees. That's going to allow us to be right next to each other, which will be good. Especially because on this side, I don't really have any troops anymore. I have a Pharaoh. I should have an Anubite. But I guarantee you, if I drop Chiron off over here, there will probably be some kind of relic, right? Just my gut feeling says that. And you see, the pathing is in this game. I'm going to complain about it again. The pathing, my goodness, is terrible. They try to go all the way around to hit to that tree, right? And granted, like, yeah, I gave him the order. I gave him the command. But, like, the game should have more intelligent pathing than that. Oh, thank goodness my guy lived with 1 health. And that's one of the things about the Egyptians that I love is the healing factor. Like, how their priests and the pharaohs heal, like it's such a boon to have, because so many other races, like, or so many other factions, it's much harder to get healing. Like for the Greeks, you gotta upgrade either like Apollo and get the Oracle. That's like the quickest way I could think of, right? For the Norse, you have to either get Valkyries or get the healing well, right? And I can't even tell you for the Chinese faction. I've not played them enough. I've only beat the campaign with the Chinese faction once, so I wouldn't even be able to tell you how they get their healing units, right? Yeah, I mean, and the Chinese missions they're okay. They're definitely an after the fact add-on. I feel like these ones, they have such a well-developed story that's like intertwined, and I don't, from what I recall, and granted I haven't played the Chinese one in a very long time, I feel like the Chinese one was kind of more tacked on, and I don't think it's even intertwined with this main story here. And granted, like, I'm pretty sure they take place in very different time frames if I remember, but I'd have to replay it before I say something out of turn and I'm just totally wrong. If I'm totally wrong, call me out, boys. If I'm totally wrong, call me out. But if you agree, which I know you probably do, yeah, got him, coach. So now it's time to start building up our actual army, right? Now that we've interconnected our two, now that we've built enough supply centers, we're starting to get our resources up, right? We got our money up, not our funny up. Now it's time to start getting in there and getting to the point where we can finally start to push, right? And if you guys don't recall what I just did, that was a shout out to a TikTok that was pretty popular, or a short or a Vine or whatever that was pretty popular for a while. That's my impression of a Nemean lion there, right? But slingers, axemen. Slingers, axemen. Let's get them. And so here's the tricky part, right? Because we get attacked from both sides, right? You want to have a big army. That way you can do your push. Okay, 34 gold's not fantastic, but it's something. You want to have a big army, right? So you want to combine your two. But you get attacked. In this mission, the AI is pretty good where they'll attack you pretty frequently, right? Where sometimes you don't ever get attacked. Sometimes the attacks are really bad. In this one, the AI is pretty decent, where they're putting a lot of good pressure on you. And we'll pick Horus this time, right? That's not one we usually choose. So this is a nice change on this mission where, Like, the AI is really decent. They put a lot of pressure on you, and they force you to go pretty quickly, right? If not, you're gonna start taking some damage. Oh no, not my camel. Oh look, it's a sphinx. I wonder if they could steal the Osiris cart. I think they can. If you leave it unattended, I think they can like take over the Osiris cart. Wow, that siege engine really wants to kill that camel. What did my camel ever do to you, bud? Okay, but like I was saying, on this mission particularly, the AI is very decent in putting pressure on you. As you could see, they've been attacking my base, especially on the left side, very frequently. So, you really have to make the decision of, am I going to join my forces? Or am I going to, you know, attack separately with two different entities or two different armies and hope for the best, right? So I do a little bit of both. Especially because now that I've cut the hole in between the two bases, there's not that much distance in between. So it's not that hard for me to actually get to where I want to go. So, I really wish this mission, and I don't know if there's an internal timer or not, I really wish this mission had a timer, like an I don't want to say an automatic fail, but like, hey, Gargarensis has reached what he's looking for in the underworld, like, now it's too late, you waited too long. And then they start unleashing, like, a mythical, like, giant myth units, or a Titan. I don't think Titans were out at this portion yet, because I think that was the first expansion. Right, which the Atlantean mission stories, those are great. I love those, right? So I don't think that the Titan would have been a viable thing, but if they had released like, okay, the entire armies of Hades is just going to come down and run you out and rush over you, like, I think that would be pretty sweet. I might even wait for the time to run out just so that I could see if I could beat them. I really like doing that when they have a massive, like, supposedly undefeatable army, seeing if you could beat them. Especially like on the final missions where it's always like the last stand. You know how most RTSs, the final mission is, okay, sit here for 30 minutes while you get overwhelmed by massive armies that are supposedly unkillable. But then you're able to like tactically maneuver and push them back, but then you see the triggers still work, so they're spawning infinity units. It doesn't matter what you do. Where some missions are actually good, where if you like kill the enemy unit production centers, the mission ends and it's like GG, get clapped, get wrecked. Okay, luckily myth units over there. My myth unit army is pretty good against the infantry that they're sending, but man, those two priests are going to be devastating. And myth units are not very good against siege, like that siege tower. In fact, I don't even know what's strong against the siege tower. The siege tower is just kind of goated with the sauce, but it's nowhere near as good as the catapult. I know the catapult's slow and shambolic and janky, but man, that thing destroys enemy buildings, and from a distance, it destroys them. Luckily, I think my men are going to survive here, right? And even on that side, there was minimum gold. So I guess there is kind of like a small, I don't want to say like a time limit, but there's definitely, you're definitely encouraged to go faster. Oh man, oh, they spent time killing the goat. No way. Rest in pepperoni, goat. You were a real one. 1 like equals 1 you cry every time. Just keep that in mind for the goat, for our goaty boy. Rip. But, you know, he made a valiant sacrifice, and he knows what he did. He knows what he did. I wonder if that could be a viable... Actually, they killed 2 goats. I wonder if that could be a viable strategy, actually, like intermixing, like, animals or goats or cattle into your infantry or your units, right? That way, the enemy auto-targets the goats or whatever, and they're wasting time attacking your units rather than, or attacking the animals rather than attacking your units. I wonder if that could actually be a viable strategy. That's pretty interesting. Hey, that's a Nostalgic Gaming Channel patent, right? If you guys go ahead and use that and make sure that you credit me wherever you use it, right? Think about me. Okay, though, let's see. We need to get our unit count up, right? We got this side. I literally only have myth units, right? And that's good and all, especially because it keeps sending infantry against me. But that's not gonna beat the base. That's not gonna siege it in. I need to get more siege weapons, more catapults. I need to get infantry, some fodder units, right? But then again, like, the myth units are just so goated. Egyptians have pretty sweet myth units. Well, these guys, I don't even have any units left. I guess it's better to combine my army at this point. Especially because on the right side, they haven't really been sending any attack waves. Actually, granted, I lied because they just killed all my units with their attack waves. I like how the Scorpion Men, I know I've already said it before, but I like how the Scorpion Men have like that voice. It kind of sounds like they have the little auto-tune box underneath their throat, like in wedge into you, right? Like they smoke too many cigarettes. Oh, there we go. I guess it's time. It has to be time, right? And I come along with some extra supply because I get some tents. That's nice. A bunch of elephants. A couple catapults. That's sweet. Arkantos came in heavy. He wasn't going to leave me behind. In fact, I think Arkantos right now has a better army than my main army. But, you know, we like to run loosey-goosey here. I guarantee you if I was playing on a higher difficulty, that probably wouldn't fly having this tiny army, right? I probably would need to wall up. Have some actual troops. But hey, this is a speed run for you, baby. Speed run strat. Oh man. So now that I split up my units, right? I don't have enough to defend my side, and I literally just was bragging about how, like, oh, I don't think they're going to attack me on this side. Boy, was I wrong. No, let them get closer. Okay, my towers can reach them anyways. And this is when you start pumping. Oh my god, okay. I was going to say they were only targeting my villagers for some reason. This is when you start pumping out spearmen, is when you see the cavalry come. And I don't know why I have such, especially if I don't build cavalry, I should probably build more spearmen, like just in general. Oh, come on, activate your Avenger Tornado. I love watching it. So we popped our rain because we wanted to get more food fast. Because we ran out of food, right? Oh no, my troops. Man, those siege towers hate villagers. And there's an even safer gold mine that I should have been sending them to in the first place. So with my tiny, tiny, tiny force here of all myth units and heroes, we're going to go and do a little bit of a forward pushing. But they'll be reinforced here in a second. Catapults, what are you doing? That's literally your job. It's Scorpion Man, what are you doing? Don't just get attacked. And how terrifying would it be if you're just living in, you know, ancient Egypt, let's say. You're scrolling around, you're strolling around, or like, hey, this guy, you're getting paid whatever minimum wage is back then, like, you know, a piece of bread for the day. And all of a sudden, you're mining, and this man that's literally half scorpion comes up to you and just starts attacking you for absolutely no reason. You're like, man, what's going on? Like, why am I being attacked? You try and run. All of a sudden, you get struck down by a meteor. Like, how terrifying would that be, right? Like, it must have been brutal to live in ancient Egypt at that time. Meteors falling, Scorpion Man, right? Giant attack elephants stomping you. The mummies popping up. right? Your beloved pharaoh has become a mummy. You're just walking, all of a sudden snakes pop up out of nowhere. Uh-oh. Monuments to Isis are protecting from god powers being here. That's one of the things too about the Egyptians, like, that is a pretty decent little boon that, you know, it's not really advertised, is when you have that monument of Isis or whatever, they can't use god powers there, so like that's a nice little boon. Oh, and you see all my men get their gold armor now because they become champions. And you see Arkantos and Ajax holding relics that they have no intention of storing. They're gonna take it back home to Egypt. Oh, thanks, fisherman. That's a nice little trigger bonus. All of a sudden, you get extra fishermen just for killing that thing. Oh man, Amonra fell. Oh, there we go. We see the Avenger. At least get one spin off before he dies. So I need to find that monument to Isis. That way I can start dropping my god powers over here. Especially because Kempset's dropping his god powers. But you know I love the ancient mummies, right? That's always a good one. Summon them from the dead. And this fight was actually kind of disappointing. Like, as you can see, we pretty easily... Oh my god, my main base is getting overran. But we pretty easily destroyed those guys, right? We'll summon snakes. Bring out the snakes. But we'll summon snakes to make sure that we don't die. Hopefully we get to use our tornado here some point, right? Tornadoes... Honestly, out of the like catastrophic god powers, the really good ones, like tornado's kind of the crappy one, right? That's like the worst one in my opinion, because like you're gonna drop a meteor on somebody, right? You're gonna turn your pharaoh into a literal god. Oh no, there's a tornado, and it's gonna pick up my troops and move them around, shuffle them around, right? It doesn't really kill buildings. It's not super great at killing troops. I mean, if you want to kill buildings, you get earthquake. If you want to kill everything, you get meteor. If you want to kill troops, you get lightning. So tornado is kind of like the worst of like the catastrophic ones. Okay, so we got... Why is this guy green? Oh, this is like the people that got taken over. It'd be kind of nice if we brought a Monra, if we'd be able to like turn them against Gargarensis. But I don't think that works here. No, it doesn't look like it. They're just neutral. Alright, boys. Well, watch this last cutscene. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.
All the pieces are here. Why does nothing happen?
It takes time.
We'll make it take less time. I'm glad you've all gathered here. You're just in time. And I'm glad you brought the pieces of Osiris with you. Do you see now? Nothing happens. Your god is dead. What? No! I have come upon the earth, and with my 2 feet taken possession. Gargarensis still breathes. Come on.
We're too late.
Gosh darn it.
There's another gate to the north. That's where they're headed.
Aye, my home.
Find us a ship, Amonra.
And Gargarensis escapes again. So you guys are going to have to tune in next week to see if we actually catch him. Thanks, boys, and I'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe and check out some of my shorts. I'll see you guys.